Welcome to Beyond the Wall. This is my life story before, during, and after 25 plus years of incarceration. I haven't done a Beyond the Wall segment for a minute, just because there's not enough hours in the day. You know, just getting back into life, working, the holidays and birthdays. I seem to have a lot of freaking birthdays now. You know, I have nephews, brothers and sisters that I didn't have before I went to prison. You know, before I went to prison, it was just my parents, 3 brothers and 1 sister. Now I have, I think, 5 nieces, 2 nephews, or 6 nieces, 2 nephews, and plus their extended family. So I'm always on the move. But I'm not complaining about any of these things. I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be here and participate in the holidays and the birthdays and whatever else that's going on in my life. You know, I'm grateful for that because there's other people that I care about that's still yet to have this opportunity, that's been there for already 2-3 decades and might never come home. So this is not a complaint at all. I don't even know where to begin. Like, you know, when I first came home and started doing these episodes and stuff, I've had people reach out to me that's left comment on my YouTube channel about, you know, psychological effect that they're still suffering from even after years of being home. I had one guy that says, you know, he's uncomfortable around crowds and around people. He needed to come home and lock himself in his room to be able to just decompress and relax and get his mind situated. You know, at the time when I was reading these comments, I don't know if I was upset about them or maybe more just like, are you guys really serious? Like, we're no longer in a hostile environment. We're no longer in prison. Like, just adapt and move on with your life. I've always prided myself in being able to adapt to my surroundings and be able to adjust. And if you're on the outside looking in and you see me through my everyday routine, you would think that I acclimated myself pretty successfully. You know, with all the projects that I got going on, with working, with family, everywhere I go, you would think that I'm well adjusted and that I've took off running. And I have for the most part. But you know, but part of this program, part of these episodes that I'm doing with the Beyond the Wall is to bring you the reality of people like me coming back after decades of being incarcerated and trying to insert themselves back into the community, trying to get adjusted to the everyday routine of grinding away, of having responsibilities, of paying bills, being at family functions, being there for people. But like I said, I like to pride myself of being able to adjust to my environment. And people like me, we hold our thoughts and emotions inside. Because 1, who really wants to hear our woes and our problems and our issues? And 2, who can really understand them? You know, professionals, they tell you that after 6 months, after 30 days, 6 months of being incarcerated, that you come home and you suffer from PTSD. I don't want to believe that. But statistics shows you that those things are real. You know, people that's gone to war come home and suffer from PTSD. They have nightmares, and maybe when they were there at war, they've done some things that their soul and their consciousness can't really accept. You can't let them go. So they suffer in silence. You know, everything that I've ever done in the penitentiary or through the course of my incarceration, I believe was necessary to ensure my survival. And I'm pretty sure that I'm accurate in that assessment. But that doesn't mean that the things that I've done hasn't affected me psychologically. You know, right now in my everyday routine, I don't sleep much. But I don't mind it. Because when I'm asleep, I keep having these repetitive dreams of being incarcerated still, of still being in the cell, of still being behind the wall with gun towers around me. And in my dream, I'm confused because I know that I'm supposed to be home already. And I tell these, and I say it in my dream. You know, in one particular dream, I went and asked the warden, hey, why am I still here? I was supposed to have been released 6 months ago, a year ago. Why am I still stuck here? Why am I not free? You know, I made the most of my time. I made the most of it. I made it as best as I could. You know, I did my time the way I wanted to do it. And for the most part, I didn't have a hard time doing that time just outside the not being free, not being here for my family, and not being able to enjoy the things that you're able to do out here. But I didn't sit and think about what all that time has done to me psychologically. I mean, physically, I'm in pretty good health. You know, I stayed working out. I participated in sports. I stayed active. And for myself, I educated myself. I read a lot of books at every opportunity I had from different subjects, you know, ranging from religion to politics to everything in between. I didn't read it just to have it occupy my time, but I read it because I was hungry for that knowledge and I was interested in these different topics. And I think doing that, having that, was able to help me, you know, keep a hold of some of my sanity. But just the other night, well, just last night, you know, to be exact, Tuesday night, we went out to dinner. And this place, I don't know what it's called, but, you know, where they bring you out, you know, meats on a steak where they cook it and they come and they ask you if you want a slice of this off of this on your plate.
It's a Brazilian steakhouse.
A Brazilian steakhouse. So, you know, as you're eating, people are coming out with steak, with ham, sausages, chicken, or whatever, and it's on a skewer, and they got a knife that they sit there and cut these pieces of meat off for you, whatever you want. I wasn't conscious of it because, you know, I feel like I have the strength, that I possess the strength to be able to not have the last plus decades affect me when I'm out in the public. But I started feeling uncomfortable. I mean, I knew I was in a safe environment. I'm in a restaurant. I'm in a Brazilian steakhouse. So you have these waiters, these cooks moving around between the tables with these skewers and these knives, cutting meat for everybody on the table. And I don't want to say I almost had like an anxiety attack, because what the hell is an anxiety attack, right? Especially if you don't know or ever experienced it before. You know, I laughed it off. I made a joke about it or something, but yeah, just like the reality is I'm in a restaurant with family and friends. I'm not in prison anymore. I'm not in a hostile environment anymore. But I've been conditioned so long to associate certain things that I see with negativity. And when they're running around with their knives and their skewers and all the noise clinging and clacking around me, like it was just an automatic reaction that I've been so conditioned to just feel, for lack of better words, just uncomfortable. You know, another time I was coming back from Denver. You know, I was given the opportunity to leave state to go visit my in-laws. And the flight there was fine, outside the fact that they didn't recognize my inmate ID and had to set me aside and had made me wait 30, 40 minutes for an escort to come to take me through the screening and metal detector and all that stuff. You know, outside of it being aggravating and embarrassing, I was fine. But on my way back, when I was in the airplane, you know, we're flying Southwest. So you already know the plane is small and cramped. I'm sitting by the window, and about 30 minutes before landing, I started having like I guess it was claustrophobia. Like, I don't understand it, because I'm perfectly fine sitting in the cell for months on end, for years, with nothing to entertain me but myself and some books. I've never had those confinement anxiety issues this whole time that I've been in a cell. But for some reason, when I was on that airplane, I just started getting antsy and my heart started racing. And yeah, I just wanted to scream and break through and break out of the freaking plane. But I'm in a public setting. And one, I don't want to make a scene. And two, I don't want my wife to see that I'm panicking or that I'm feeling uncomfortable, you know, at the moment. So I just ate it up. I just swallowed it. In my head, I just count down the minutes. I looked at my watch. I said, all right, you only got 20 more minutes before the plane lands, so just get a hold of yourself and compose yourself. You know, I'm not even really sure where I'm going on with this topic, but, you know, through the course of my conversations with other individuals that's been locked up for decades, for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you know, I've had the conversation with them that they listen to or watch my videos, and they appreciate that I'm out here speaking on subjects that they themselves can't really discuss with their family. You know, I know there's a stigma on, like, you know, on your mental state. But people like us, again, we grew up conditioning to keep our emotions, our thoughts, and our feelings inside. But I'm coming to realize that, doing those things is really unhealthy. My friends and other people that I've met that's been incarcerated for a long period of time, they confide in me that, everything's not okay in their head. But they're able to confide in me because they know I can relate and that they know that I can understand. And we hold it inside because who really out here can relate to us that haven't really been in those experiences, that haven't really been through those things? Just like I wouldn't know what it feels like to go through a divorce. I wouldn't know what it feels like to have been in an abusive relationship, or 100 other things that happens to people out here. So at the same time, how can anyone understand me, understand the psychological effect that I've been conditioned and suffer from if they have not been in the environment that I've been in? So people like me, we have a limited outlet into how to deal with this. And I have no idea how to deal with it. I have no advice that I can give them where they could go, who they can talk to work through some of these issues. People that's lived the life that I've lived, we embody that masculinity. We embody that toughness, that unbroken mentality. So for us to come out and ask or even admit that we might need some type of assistance, some type of help, is very uncomfortable. And we'd rather suffer in silence than be put in an uncomfortable situation. So again, I'm going to emphasize, some of the things I mentioned in my Welcome to the USP episode that I just did before this, that for the people that have friends and family that's been incarcerated, when you see them exuding behavior that are abnormal according to our custom as society, I would just ask, be patient. Don't judge. And really, there's not much you can do to help us outside of just watch us. As long as our behavior is not causing any disruption, is not causing any harm to anyone around us, just give us an opportunity to work it out ourselves. Part of the program, part of my agenda is just taking you guys through my life, giving you a first-hand glimpse of what it really is like to try to insert yourself back into the community. And for the most part, I think I've done a pretty good job. But there's still moments that certain noises, certain words, certain behavior sets a trigger off in me. Like in a particular incident, I was at a grocery store and I was having a dispute with the checkout lady. I was asking her some questions about some things, and but I'm still going on the process of paying my bill, for my grocery while I'm having this conversation. But then they had this white guy that's two people behind me tells me, shut the fuck up and stop whining. You sound like a little bitch. Of course, you already know the reaction that I'm going to have. But I also understand that I'm in a public setting. But I've not had someone speak to me like that 20 plus years. Because in the environment that I've been in, if someone spoke to me like that, he would be in the hospital fighting for his life. Because he would have puncture wounds all through his body. And it was so aggravating and frustrating that this freaking dude boy, racist piece of shit, feels that he has the liberty to disrespect me. Why? Because there's other people around that's going to stop me, that's going to stop this situation if I try to harm him. And I understand that that's how he feels safe. You know, a lot of these individuals out here, they feel they're at liberty to be able to just be disrespectful and speak in the manners that they want without any courtesy, without any regards or knowledge of the individual they're speaking to. Now, I've always heard the saying, oh, fight with your words, fight with your words. But we're enabling these people not to raise themselves to a higher standard, not to conduct themselves in a respectful manner so they can say whatever the fuck they want to say out their mouth because there's no repercussion attached to it. You know, I almost got myself arrested and went to jail because when I left the grocery store, as I'm going to put my stuff in the grocery store, this individual's car was just right across from me. So, of course, being in my feelings, but not really just what he said, but just because he felt that he could insert himself and be disrespectful to me because who am I? Just another fucking gangbanger, right? You know, or whatever's going on in his head. So I have a rack that was there to put your cart in next to where I park. But he also had one on the other side that was close to his vehicle. So instead of parking my cart right there next to my car, I took my cart to go park it at the place that was next to his car so that I could purposely encounter him. So when I parked my cart, I walked up to him and I asked him, I said, so I'm a fucking little whiny bitch, huh? What you trying to do? And you know, he looked around. No, first he said, hey, I'm willing to let it go. Man, I'm willing to let it go. And he stuck his hand out to try to shake my hand. And I didn't shake his hand. I refused to shake his hand. You know, I really wanted to hold him accountable for being disrespectful. So I got in his grill. He's taller than me. He's probably about 6'2", but he was a little older individual. I said, you're a racist piece of shit. You run your fucking mouth. What you trying to do now? And he looked around and he seen other people around him and he threw up his hand. Hey, I don't want any problems. Hey, I don't want any problems. You know, making a scene. But these people, they do want problems. Because they didn't want any fucking problems. Why are they inserting themselves in a conversation that has nothing to do with them? Yeah, he wanted a problem, but not the kind that I was trying to give him. So anyway, nothing happened because there was a security guard, a cop, that whatever monitors the store. He started yelling at me, "Hey, break it up, get away from there, get away from there." You know, being on probation, just getting out of prison, I didn't want to react in a way that was going to get me locked up. So I swallowed my pride and walked away. But it's a situation that I'm not accustomed to. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get accustomed to people just running their mouths and putting in their 2 cents. But I'm very conscious of my predicament. Even though I'm out here in the free world, I'm not free. I still have shackles and belly chain and a black box on me. But you know, the thing that I try to push as far as my brand, my BMA brand, is about conducting yourself in a manner that is appropriate. That we shouldn't feel that we have the liberty to just say anything and everything out of our mouths because we think the society or the police or the security guard or everybody else is going to protect us. It's not free speech when you're being disrespectful. You know. But this is just to give you an update of what's going on with my situation. And like, I know that I've been out here almost 6 months now, so I'm being exposed to more things in my everyday routine. And I have to be mindful that people out here don't conduct themselves in the same way that we conduct ourselves in there. You know, they look at us like we're a bunch of pieces of shit because we've been in prison, or that we're criminals and ex-felons and whatever other derogatory terms you want to use that applying to the people like me. But regardless if you agree with the things that I've done or not, I try to carry myself in a certain way. I try to have certain standards that I live by. And I don't go out of my way to disrespect people. So when it happens to me, I have automatic, like a trigger button that I just start seeing red, and the only thing that can satisfy that or subdue that is to be able to deal with it in the way that I feel should be dealt with. But the way that I've been dealing with my problems and my issue isn't, I guess, appropriate in this setting in my life right now. So these are the things that I have to be conscious on, that I have to work on. But yeah, man, it's a lot different out here. And for those people that understand the things that I'm saying, I want you to know that I understand so much better now of what you guys been going through for these last years, trying to adjust yourself, trying to be back and be part of the community. And if there's no one else out there that understands you, there's no one else out there that you can speak to, man, you can holler at me. Just hit me up. Find me on Messenger, on Facebook, or however. Because I know that we can't do this alone. And if we can create a network of people that needs the kind of help that we need, man, I'm all for it, man. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Wall.